Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Hello, welcome to the Ice. I'm Alex B. Smith. I'm not sure where Ian Cameron is at the very second. Matt Robinson also joining us. Welcome to today's episode. Today is Leap Day, December 20th.
We're back.
You got it, Ian?
We're back. Yeah. I closed the wrong window. I closed my StreamYard screen just now. I'm trying to close off stuff that I don't need for notes. And here we are. We're back. Welcome to the Ice Guys. Thursday, February 29th. Yes, it's a leap year. That's why we've got a February 29th today. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and Matt Robinson with you, ready to break down the Thursday card. We're very excited about it. It is a huge Thursday slate. We are looking forward to it. We'll get, obviously, to that in just a moment. First off, though, what I want to start with is, obviously, we'll get to the Tanev trade. That was obviously the big deal yesterday. The big news, I guess you can say. And, look, not at all surprising. This is something that we have been basically expecting for quite some time. Dallas and Chris Tanev, Dallas and the Calgary Flames, as far as Chris Tanev goes, have been linked for several days now. It was just a question of when we would see that deal likely come to fruition. And it ended up happening last night. It ends up happening. And what I love about the deal for Dallas is Chris Tanev fits an immediate need, the type of defenseman they need, and that is shut down, block shots, be very sound in his own zone. Because let's be real, we've seen this team defensively maybe not nearly look as sharp, not nearly look as strong in front of their goaltenders as they did last year and 2 years ago. So to get a Chris Tanev, this is a guy that's going to help you at playoff time. Is there the concern that, yes, he's older, mid-30s, yes, he's had a lot of wear and tear on his body and the potential for injury down the road? Of course. There's no question. He plays a very rugged game, blocks a million shots. It leads the possibility to him getting injured. That's you're always at risk getting hurt. But, you cannot shy away from making a trade for a guy like this because you're worried he might get injured. This is a situation where he makes this blue line better. He gives them exactly what kind of they've been missing here as far as their blue line is concerned. So, and what I love about the deal that Jim Nill was able to pull off here, the general manager of the Dallas Stars, is no first-round pick given up. The top three consensus prospects in the Stars organization were not included in this deal. Maverick Bourque, Logan Stankoven, and Bikesell, the defenseman that's playing over in Europe right now. So it is a good sign there. They didn't have to give up any of their bigger high-end prospects out of the cupboard. And obviously they got someone that's going to help them at playoff time. Your prototypical Stanley Cup playoff defenseman that every team needs, if they're going to eventually lift Lord Stanley's Cup in June. So I like the trade. And Calgary didn't get a bad return either. Second-round pick. I like Artem Grushnikov, the guy that I saw here in Hamilton play for the Bulldogs in the Ontario Hockey League. He's a very physical defenseman, hard-hitting, very good team guy, teammate as well. So they got a nice little – now he's not ready for the NHL right now just yet, Grushnikov, but it's someone that will develop in the Calgary organization. I'm sure he's going to play with the Wranglers at the very beginning, and they obviously get the second-round pick as well. So it was a solid return for Craig Conroy, but definitely for Dallas, look, a great deal because this is the kind of player they need right now. We'll start with Matt on this one since he's the resident Dallas Stars fan here on the show today. Matt, I know you're excited about Chris Tanev making his way to Big D.
Yeah, no doubt. I know they were in the running for it. I know it leaned that they were kind of in the lead as far as who might land him, but I think it's a great fit for Dallas. I honestly don't know if Nill is done. I think he might even be looking to potentially add one more defenseman to the mix based on what I'm reading. But nonetheless, huge pickup for Dallas. Big stay-at-home D. I was looking at his numbers. I mean, he's second in the league in block shots. Everyone knows that that's kind of his go-to stat. He'll block it with his face if he has to. But, he's plus 16. He has like 13 points, so it's not like he's hitting the score sheet often. But to be plus 16 on a lower end team like Calgary that sort of had struggles throughout the season, just is a testament to how strong he is defensively. So I think it really helps the blue line. Obviously, would have loved for him to be in Dallas tonight. Big game against Winnipeg, division rival, battle for first place right there in the mix. It's looking like he may be in for Saturday, but more than likely next Tuesday. But nevertheless, really excited to have him. They've got this stretch of, lesser talent games coming up. So, he can kind of get some gel going and get some chemistry with the boys. But yeah, overall, love the trade. Didn't have to give up too much. So huge pickup for Dallas.
Yeah, no first-round pick, no top 3 prospects in the organization given up to get a guy like Chris Tanev. That's good GM work, certainly, by Jim Nill. Alex, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, fantastic trade. That's one of the holes that needed to be patched up for Dallas. Now that you have a fairly solid blue line, you can sit down a 39-year-old Suter who pretty much does a whole lot of nothing most nights. And now you have a little bit of depth. If you have an injury, you can plug him back in. You have a veteran guy that you can trust in the locker room, and you have another veteran presence that you can trust, not just in the locker room, not just in practices, but who can actually get the job done on ice in Tanev. So I think it's a great move. Like you said, not a lot given up, and what Calgary got back will help them for the future. Calgary, and I know, like I said, Flames fans don't want to hear it, but this is a team that should be looking at a soft rebuild. And I mean, I mentioned it on the Betcast, and we said, Tanev get moved. I think Hannafin would be another guy we could see get moved before March 8th. Markstrom's a different story. You probably stick with him for the rest of the year, and you try and move him and get something really big during the offseason. I think that's the best kind of option there for that. I think there's a couple of teams that might be moving some big-time goalies in the offseason, Calgary being one of them. But as far as things go for right now, it's great to see that a trade's finally happened, because this will move the needle. This will get other teams that really need to patch some holes and get some things done before the 8th. Finally, we might see some more movement here. So the first domino has fallen, and we'll be busy keeping up with that for the next 9 days.
Yeah, the trade deadline fast approaching. March 8th will be here before you know it. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And certainly when these trades roll in, we'll be definitely giving our thoughts on each trade that goes down the pike, certainly between now and the March 8th trade deadline. Wednesday, just briefly on the 2 games, Igor Shesterkin played great last night for the New York Rangers. I don't know about the team in front of him. I know they won the game 4-1. But that was not the best performance. I expected a little bit more from the Rangers than they delivered, especially when they had the lead in the third. They really were sitting back and letting Columbus really fire away at them. But Shesterkin was terrific, continues his really tremendous renaissance since the All-Star break, where he's looked like the old Igor Shesterkin again for the Rangers. But they do get it done. I did grab a little full game puck line. Unfortunately, I had a little more on the first period puck line, so would take the small loss there. But 4-1 with the Rangers there against the Jackets. And then in the second game, and now you're seeing why I've adopted the over trifecta route with some of these games lately, because look, there was a time when I would only be on over 6.5 in that Blues-Oilers game last night, and I would have lost. But last night we did have, as we split it between the first period over, the first period both teams to score, and it was that 2-1 start to the game, and then it just quieted down. And that's kind of like what happened with LA and Edmonton the other night, where Edmonton defensively, after a rough start, they got their shit together in the last 2 periods, played a lot better, as did Stuart Skinner. Skinner was excellent. Again, that's 2 back-to-back third periods with the game on the line, where Stuart Skinner has played very well for the Edmonton Oilers in net. And the Oilers, with another nice solid win to try to get their game back on track after a little bit of a rough patch. They've now won back-to-back games at home against the Kings and the Blues. And now we can stop talking about Connor McDavid's goal drought now, thankfully, as he gets the overtime winner last night for the Oilers. And now we can get back to business as usual and not have to hear about that for another several days in a row as McDavid gets off the schneid. How about Zach Hyman, man? This guy is something else right now. 40 goals on the season. Edmonton Oilers, their first 2 goals. What an incredible player this guy is. Hard work every single night. Just a dog on a bone from a forechecking standpoint. You can't beat him for loose pucks. He is going to win those battles 9 times out of 10. He is just a great, great hockey player. Does all the little things right. And he continues to get better as well. He was already really good in Toronto years ago. He's even better now. And, man, is he going to really come in handy having Zach Hyman on this team come playoff time. He's just the perfect type of playoff performer. And certainly, look, Edmonton's already yielding the benefits of his presence now. Wait till the playoffs start. Alex, thoughts on the 2 games last night?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see those 2 goals go to Connor McDavid instead of Zach Hyman. But, yeah, he's been playing his ass off. And that's the key to why Edmonton's been so successful. Like I said, okay, fine. 1 goal in the last 11 games for Connor McDavid to go with 25, 26 assists now. That still counts for 27 goals for your team at the end of the day. So, like you said, we can put it aside. He's going to score again, but he's been helping his team out the whole time and getting other people involved. That's been the issue this whole time in the McDavid-Draisaitl era, is that there's not other people involved. It's 97 and 29 every fucking night, or they don't show up and they lose. So if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, yeah, don't whine about the fact that he only has 1 goal. Whine, be happy about the fact he's chipping in and helping everybody else out and giving these other guys confidence. Like you said, once you get into the playoffs, where you're going to need 2 goals from Zach Hyman in the playoffs to possibly win a game, to even up a series, or to get you the lead in a series. Okay, it's not going to be 4 goals from McDavid. It's not going to be a hat trick and 2 assists from Draisaitl. So getting those other guys involved is better now and in the long run. And Stuart Skinner playing well, getting his confidence back at the right time, that is absolutely massive. So if he can stay healthy and stay focused the next 2 months, this is a dangerous Edmonton team as any. But also got to give a little bit of credit to St. Louis. They are scrappy. They are feisty. Much better than I thought they would be at this point. I thought this would be a team right there down there with the Arizonas and Chicagos of the Central, vying for a lottery spot. Here they are looking for a playoff spot instead toward the top. So if they can, they need to get some more consistent goaltending. They can't sit on a 2-1 lead against a team like Edmonton after the first 20 minutes. You got to keep pressing the action, take the crowd out of it. Those are those little things that help you become a better team toward the playoffs. When you have a 2-1 lead against a team like the Edmonton Oilers on the road, you need to come out guns blazing like it's Game 7, third period in that second period of that game. Put the screws to them and put that game out of reach. Yep. Those are the teams that win series. Those are the teams that win championships.
Yeah, you can't let a team like Edmonton hang around because the firepower is there, and they proved that last night. St. Louis could never get it to 3-0. Edmonton got it to 2-1. And they could not get it to 3-1, and Edmonton tied it, and that's when you felt that game was slipping away a little bit from the St. Louis Blues. Matt, your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, I didn't catch too much of the action. I did watch the first period of that St. Louis Edmonton game because that was the one bet that I was big on, was the first period over there. I actually got in at 2. For whatever reason, the book I was using and was on the run was at 2 plus like 130. So that Zach Hyman power play goal at the end of the first period was huge for me to get over that 2 bump. Yeah, so pretty light day for me betting wise. I did tail Alex on his Pacers -6.5 bet, which hit as well. So that was nice to see. And but yeah, didn't catch too much of the action last night. Obviously, just 2 games slate. Always try and catch the TNT game, but I just had a dinner to be at and stuff like that. So. But looking forward to tonight's card. Obviously, the Stars play, but really deep card in general. So looking forward to tonight.
Well, just from the time we've known you, you devote a lot of your nights to watching hockey. So every now and then you got to devote a night for something else. And last night was, one of those nights, a good night to choose to maybe do a little something different. No question about it. With only 2 games on the NHL slate, which is not the case tonight. It is a huge Thursday card, and we'll roll right into it. Buffalo, Tampa Bay. We've got the Lightning -150 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. The Lightning are back at home, where obviously they've been better this year, but even on home ice lately at Amalie Arena, this has not been a invincible Tampa Bay Lightning team. We've seen them only 2-4 in their last 6 games. In fact, they enter this game on a 3-game home losing streak. Remember, their last homestand, they were just 1-3. They got the win against Colorado, but they dropped 3 straight on home ice to Florida, Ottawa, and Washington. So laying -150 is not something I am doing with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I'm sure everyone in the chat knows that already. This is not a team I'm laying -150 with, even at home at this point in time. Am I really in love with Buffalo that much? That's the question. They did play Florida very tough. 3-2 loss to the mighty Panthers on Tuesday night. So you got to give them credit for that. Hung into that game. And I will say this about the Buffalo Sabres. They actually, the last time they were in Tampa last year in February, they won in overtime 6-5. And in fact, this has been a Buffalo Sabres team that has won 3 of the last 4 meetings against Tampa Bay. Now, the last meeting was earlier this year, was the one meeting of the last 4 that Tampa won in Buffalo, 3-1, January 20th. But this has been a bit of a difficult matchup for the Lightning. They have not been able to put the Sabres away easily or very lightly. So, yeah, with some trepidation, because it is Buffalo. But right now, the form of Tampa Bay does not merit minus 150 in this matchup. It just doesn't. I'm going to grab Buffalo plus 130. I really like the draw here. I think there's really a good chance we see overtime or a shootout. Buffalo almost got that Florida game the other night to overtime. 3 of the last 5 meetings have gone past regulation, including Buffalo's win here in Tampa Bay last February, 6-5. So, yeah, this is dog and draw split for me. There's dog and draw that I like a little bit more, a lot more actually in the next game. But for this game, a little bit here with the dog and the draw split. Sabres and draw for me. Alex, what do you think? Sabres, Lightning.
Yeah, this is my smallest draw play. This is the draw play I like the least, and it's strictly off of history. 3 out of the last 5 meetings, teams that, Tampa Bay needing points desperately. Buffalo has played teams kind of a little bit better with Tampa, so we could see some back and forth pace, and it's just worth grabbing at a number based off series history. What I like more than that is the first period over. And I'm not even going both teams to score. I'm just going strict first period over, 1.5 minus $1.25. 9 straight first period overs in the last 9 meetings, 16-4 the last 20 meetings between these two teams. So there's always goals early in the contest between Sabres and Bolts, and definitely liking that first period over. So a little bit of draw, but much heavier on the first period over.
You know what? That first period over, I might even jump in on that just a little bit, because I remember the last game, which was in Buffalo. It was 3-1. It was that early game. It was a Saturday afternoon, really, really early start in Buffalo. It was 3-1 Tampa, and I believe two of the goals were 2 of the 4 goals in the game were in the first period. So there you go. First period over hit in that game, even though the full game stayed under, because I do think this full game could stay under. I know Vasilevsky hasn't played as well, but he's definitely going to be pissed off about the way he played against Philly. He was bad, flat out bad in the Philadelphia game, especially in the third period. He'll want to bounce back, and I really like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and picked a pack of pickle peppers form right now for the Buffalo Sabres. He's been pretty solid for them lately. He's actually been on a nice little run. 3 of his last 4 starts he's won. He's given up 3 goals or less in 5 of his last 6 starts. So UPL's in a nice little groove right now for the Buffalo Sabres. Maddie, what do you think here? Buffalo, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I don't really like either of the sides here. I can definitely see why you're on Buffalo, but I never know what Tampa I'm going to see. They may come out and win this game 5-1, or they may lose 7-0. I have no idea. The only play for me pregame is that first period over. I'm seeing it at like minus 130, which is pretty good, price for a first period over. And then on the off chance it's a 2-0 first, you're safe from the both teams to score. So that'll be my only play on this one, at least pregame. So.
All right, good stuff there. As far as props, there's not a ton I'm doing here in the prop market, other than I might look toward Nick Paul. Brandon Hagel point. I know Terry and others have been on Brandon Hagel point in a parlay of some kind repeatedly, so I wouldn't argue with that, obviously. And then on the Buffalo side, Dylan Cousins, someone that's kind of been spotty, a little bit quiet lately, but I think jumped out of the funk there the other night against Florida. Could see him maybe making an impact here for the Sabres in this game from a goal scoring standpoint. So keep an eye on that. Those are 2 props I would be interested in for that one. All right, we got the Bruce Cassidy Bowl next up, also known as the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Boston Bruins. Boston minus 160, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Yeah, Bruce Cassidy Bowl, Bruce's current team versus his former team. Vegas getting off the schneid, a much-needed victory to start this. Well, not start the road trip. They started it against Ottawa. They did lose that game, but they did bounce back. They beat Toronto, a Leaf team that gave them a thumping at T-Mobile Arena last week. Vegas turned the table against Toronto Tuesday night. I think that maybe gets them going, not to mention Shea Theodore, was injured for a bit. Having him back certainly helps. There's no doubt for this Vegas blue line. Obviously still without Eichel and Stone. There's clearly still issues up front, but that was definitely a step in the right direction. It was a great start for Adin Hill too, and he needed it. Adin Hill's kind of been treading water lately with his performance in net, but certainly the Vegas team needed a good pick-me-up performance and a win to feel good about themselves again, and they were able to get that against Toronto on Tuesday night. Now they take on a Bruins team that, look, this has been a rigorous schedule for the Boston Bruins. You go back to the start of, they played Dallas, and they went to a shootout, LA in an overtime before that, 2 home games. Then they went on the road trip. And not only did they have to play 4 games in 4 games in 6 nights, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, and Seattle, they had to empty the gas tank in all 4 games because they all went past regulation. So now that after those 4 hard-fought, intense road games in a row, all against pretty good teams, maybe with the exception of Seattle, which is more of a okay team, although Seattle, I think, is capable of better. That was a tough road trip, good opponents. You're coming back home off this long road trip. Every game was intense. Every game expended energy for this Boston team. It's just a brutal spot for Boston. They have laid eggs before coming back home off these lengthy road trips. I still remember the Seattle Kraken got them last year when Boston was coming back home off a very lengthy road trip last year from the West Coast. So I'm going to take a shot with Vegas here. I think they're live in this game. The Cassidy factor, they've faced Boston enough since he's been there. I don't think it has the same cachet that it did before, where they rally around and win one for Cassidy here. But still, every time he goes back to Boston, after getting fired, there's that onus. Hey, let's get the job done here. And like I say, Vegas comes in here with some confidence. It wouldn't surprise me to see them get the victory. And they've actually gone to TD Garden, this Vegas team, and beaten the Bruins 2 straight visits here, 4-1 2 years ago, 4-3 in a shootout last year. So Vegas plus 140. And of course, we're on the draw again. We have to be. This is a no-brainer that we're on the draw here. 6 straight overtime games for the Boston Bruins, 6 straight past regulation. 7 of the last 8 games for the Boston Bruins have gone past regulation. We've been on a handful of them as well with the draw. We're riding it back, running it back once again tonight. So Vegas and draw for me. Alex, Golden Knights, Bruins.
Yeah, we'll have the poll at _Ice Guys on Twitter. What we're going to come up with a nickname for Boston as far as their draw run goes. But
Boston draw party, pretty good. I like
draw
that
party
one.
Was good. Drawston Bruins was another one we talked about in the backcast. So we'll let the people decide with that one. But either way, yeah, we're running back with the draw again, obviously. But I do like Vegas here. I grabbed plus 135 yesterday, and like I said, this just feels like a good spot for Vegas to get things in the right track. He said they're not afraid of the spot. They're not afraid of the venue. You're not going to have this Vegas team be, rattled by anything, even going through their bumps and bumps and having their losses. They'll be geared up and ready for this game. And like I said, the Cassidy factor just adds to that. And just a little bit. It's not, it wasn't some kind of bitter firing and it led to some kind of rivalry or whatever. But it's just going to have everybody amped up and just a little bit sharper. So, guys want to play well for their coach and knowing that, that spot and that time is the same group of guys from the last couple of years. So I think we see the same kind of play. And I think it's going to be a fairly close one. I think Vegas gets the win. If I had to pick a correct score of some sort, I would say 4-3 Vegas in shootout.
That would work for me. I think that we could definitely see that. No question about that. Yeah, the Drawston Bruins. I had not heard about that idea to call it that until Alex mentioned it. I think that one sounds pretty good as well. Matt, what are you doing here? Vegas, Boston.
Yeah, I like the game total over at 5.5. I think Vegas is going to score some goals. So instead of taking Vegas, plus 140, which is great odds, I think I'm going to take Vegas to score over 2.5 goals. It's still, solid. I think it's like minus 110. That's still solid for me. And then on the off chance, Vegas loses 4-3 in overtime, you're safe with that team total over. So I'll be on that and the game over. I might jump on the first period over, as I think Vegas, is feeling good about themselves after that Toronto win. But yeah, my big 2 plays here would be the game over and then the Vegas team total over. And then I'll jump on the draw as well, just given the streak right now.
Bruins off the road trip might be a little sloppy with the puck, especially defensively in their own zone. And I'm seeing now Vegas has gone over the total in 4 straight games. Yeah, I'll sprinkle a little bit on over 5.5 here in this game. I will, just based on the number being what it is. I know it's a system play for Matt. He always says at 5.5. I'm looking at over regardless of matchup and situation. So, yeah, I think I might get in on that for a little bit too, the Golden Knights and Bruins as far as that total is concerned. There's a lot of good options for props. We mentioned, I think they're all still good options as far as Coyle. He's been good, certainly for them. Geeky is starting to pick up again and make something happen for the Boston Bruins as well. Nick Waugh, with what he's been doing, I think is very live. So those are some props I would look at here tonight. All right, the New York Islanders taking on the Detroit Red Wings next up. Even money right here, pretty much both sides minus 110. The total sitting at, it looks like 6 or 6.5. Actually, most books have 6 with the total here between the Islanders and the Red Wings in this game. The Red Wings continue to look, very impressive, winning games. The home record's been very good. 18-8-5 this year at Little Caesars Arena. They've now won 6 in a row, and the latest win was an 8-3 beatdown. 8-3 pounding over the Washington Capitals. They beat Chicago, St. Louis, Colorado, Seattle, Calgary before that. So it's been a very good run of games for this Detroit Red Wings team. Islanders, meanwhile, they had a rough weekend, losing at St. Louis, losing to Tampa Bay. But then they bounced back against Dallas 3-2 in overtime. I think that was a very advantageous situation, though, for the Islanders to take care of business against Dallas, considering just the grueling schedule that the Dallas Stars went through, particularly on that road trip. We'll see if it can carry over here to this game. They played back in October. Red Wings got a 4-3 overtime win against this Islanders team. We'll see if they can duplicate that here tonight in this one. Detroit does play Florida Saturday afternoon, ABC, national TV spotlight game. So, this is kind of a tricky. I'm worried a little about the spot here. The things are just rolling along nicely. Beat down against Washington off the Kane goal, the return to Chicago for him, that emotional night. I'm worried that there's a dud maybe for Detroit tonight, but at this price, I still have to look to Detroit. I have to. I mean, it's cheap. They're the better of these two teams still. I'm going to split it with the team total over, and I'm going to sprinkle on the draw here in this game as well, because we did see overtime last time between these two teams. So, and the Islanders right now are at a point in the season where they'll drag any team into the overtime as long as they can secure a point, because every point's so valuable for them. So I'm going to do a little Detroit money line team total split along with the draw here. Alex, Islanders, Red Wings.
Yeah, I'm on Detroit money line and the draw split as well. A little heavier on the draw, just because if we get the draw, we can probably grab something a little bit better in game with Detroit money line. But like I said, this is a cheap price for Detroit, and the cheap price to fade the Owls. I don't like the Owls' form right now. And like I said, they usually find ways to hang around in games like this, but it wouldn't shock me one bit too if they end up losing 5-2, 6-2, and getting blown out. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be too much of a letdown from the whole Kane atmosphere and things. If anything, that would probably be more on the Chicago end, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I think Detroit's focused and they're primed on trying to be a playoff team. And they know that the Islanders are a team that's in their rear view mirror, but they could push them a little bit further back in that rear view with a win here. So wings and draw, those are the only two things I like here in the spot.
And Chris Otto mentioning that this matchup is the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams in the NHL for the first period draw. So there you go. If you're interested in a little first period draw, and you can bet that too. You're not just chained to full game when it comes to these draw bets. You can look at first period as well. And it looks like you can get, first period as far as the draw is concerned here. Let me just take a look here. Plus 175, plus 180. I might sprinkle on that a little bit too. You
could take some shots with that at plus 175, or take some shots with first period correct scores 0-0 and 1-1 as well.
Yeah, those would be the obvious correct
Divided
scores.
0-0
and 1-1. Yeah, no question. So I think because that your potential score, correct score options, after the first period are lesser, that early into the game. So 0-0, 1-1, you could do a little bit of a sprinkle on that, no question. But yeah, first period draw. You're talking about the number 1 and number 2 teams with the most first period draws this season, going head to head in this game, Islanders and Red Wings. Matt, what do you like here?
This just seems like a weird spot for this game. I mean, the obvious play is Detroit, I would think. I mean, just how they're playing lately. I agree with you on the Islanders win in Dallas, great win for them, but I don't think it shows me that they're back or that they're rolling or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, I feel weird about it, but I'm definitely going to take Detroit money line, as well as the Detroit team total over. And then I may sprinkle on that first period draw. It might be a fun little play for the first set of games to see if I can get that to stay 0-0 or even be 1-1. But I think there will be goals, so I would lean if you're going to take the correct scores. If you were just going to pick one, which there's no reason to, but I would lean 1-1. I think there will be at least a goal or two in this first period, but yeah, I lean Detroit here. I'm not really sure why it's sort of a pick 'em, but I'll take it.
Not a great price, but you know what I'll throw in as an official play? Give me a Kane and DeBrincat point parlay plus 125. I mean, again, the price isn't off the charts, but plus 125, Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat point parlay in this game. I mean, they've been on fire, both of these guys. And I think when you look at it, that's pretty, I don't want to say nothing's a lock, but even at plus 125, that seems like a positive expectation, same game parlay wager if I've ever seen one, is just asking that. And you don't have to worry about goal or assist. You just get a point, whether it's scoring a goal, whether it's setting up a teammate, and it gets there. So, yeah, plus 125 for a Kane and DeBrincat point parlay in this game for Detroit. I think that's definitely worth a look, especially with the heater that both of those guys are on right now for the Red Wings. All right, Carolina Hurricanes and Columbus Blue Jackets. Next up, we've got Carolina minus 250 road favorites here in this game. The total 6.5 across the board. Very, very tough situation for Columbus, right? In New York last night against the Rangers, they lose 4-1. They probably played a little bit better than the final score indicates, but final score is all that matters. And unfortunately for Columbus, they fall short to the Rangers 4-1. Now you got to play on a back-to-back. You've got to put Daniil Tarasov in there in this game tonight for the Blue Jackets against this Carolina team. And we know he's had his issues in between the pipes for the Jackets most of the season. Fantilli. And now you lose Kent Johnson as well. In addition to, you're already down Adam Fantilli. So we'll see if Columbus can somehow cobble together a solid effort tonight against a very good Carolina team. But it's certainly not going to be easy given the scheduling situation and a couple of these injuries they're dealing with, and a goaltender that's just 4-7 with a 3.65 goals against average and 887 save percentage in net in Daniil Tarasov. So very, very tricky here. I'm going to take Carolina's team total here. Look, the Carolina team total bet is always dicey because this team can clearly be very comfortable and satisfied winning 2-1, 2-0, 3-1, 3-0. They don't always get you the 4 goals that you need as far as team totals are concerned. But I think they can get that tonight. This is a Blue Jackets defense that's now got to play on back-to-back games. It's a Blue Jacket defense that A, isn't great, B, doesn't have a lot of quality depth to it. Now you got to ask all these guys that have played, hard minutes last night, play hard minutes tonight against a tenacious forechecking team, against a Carolina team that, as we know, they're a high-volume shot team most nights. They'll shoot the puck from anywhere against a goalie that's clearly struggling with his confidence right now in Tarasov. So, this could be a night where Carolina, even with their offense, like they have scored 3 or less in 4 straight games, Carolina. I totally get it, but I think this is a spot against a tired team, a weaker defense, weaker goaltending for the Carolina Hurricanes to get to 4 goals tonight in this game. And if you actually look at series history between these two teams, specifically here, Nationwide Arena in Columbus between these two teams, Carolina won 6-2 in Columbus last January. Before that, they lost in a shootout. They put up 3, but before that, they also scored 7 and 5 goals. So they basically put up 4 or more in 3 of the last 4 trips to Columbus. So I'm going to take my chance that tonight they can get that offense going enough to get to that 4-goal mark. Again, this is a team that sometimes parks the bus with the lead, can sometimes be more than satisfied. Just, hey, we've got our 2 goals. We've got our 3 goals. We're up 2-1, 3-1. We'll just protect the lead, get the W, and move on. There is concern about that, but I think given the spot for Columbus on the road, back-to-back, Tarasov and net, who struggled, and the fact, of course, that the defense for Columbus isn't that great to begin with. Heavy minutes last night, heavy minutes again tonight for a weakened blue line. I think this is the night Carolina can get to 4. So Hurricanes over 3.5, team total -136. And clearly I'd rather lay that kind of a price than -250 in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Hurricanes, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, this is going to be a pass for me. I feel like if I bet Canes team total over, this ends up being a 2-0 game. And if I bet the under, this ends up being 6-5 in a shootout. So I'm just staying away from this. It's a big enough card. I like other stuff on the board.
All right, nothing wrong with that. All right, Matt, what about you here? Carolina, Columbus.
Yeah, I really feel like it'll be a pass for me as well, at least pregame. I'm not going to lay -250 on Carolina. I do think they win the game. I'm in agreement with Alex on the over-under. If I take the over, it'll be a 2-1 game. If I take the under, it's going to be 4-0 or 4-2 after the first. So, yeah, it'll probably be a pass game for me. Maybe a couple props here and there. They jump on Stefan Nason anytime goal scorer or something like that. Just since I was on the show today and that's been hitting. But as far as sides totals, don't really like anything in this game.
Yeah, this is one where, I'm not in love with either puck line, Carolina first period or full game puck line, but this is a spot where if you like a puck line, I favor the full game because you want the third period as part of your bet because that's where Columbus is back. That's where the back-to-back spot's going to hit Columbus most. Third period tonight in this game. So that's why I prefer full game puck line if you're going that route for the Carolina side of the equation here tonight in this game. But again, Kochetkov has not been confirmed yet for the Carolina Hurricanes. That's why the team total was my first look, my first choice in this game because I don't want to be dealing with puck line if we get a Ronta sighting here tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. So keep an eye on who's going to be the tendy here tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes in this game. All right, and by the way, for props, it would be only the Russian trio for Columbus. They're the only guys you can rely on night to night. For Carolina, we've talked about Natchez. We've talked about Bunting's a good call from Terry. He's been noticeable lately for sure. Those would be the props certainly I'd be looking at for Carolina tonight in this game. All right, Montreal and Florida next up. We've got the Florida Panthers as sizable home favorites, as you would expect, -340 here in this game against the Montreal Canadiens. Total sitting at 6, pretty much across the board, shaded to the over in this game. It is Sam Montembeault back to Florida. He was in that organization at one time, and he certainly played one hell of a game against Arizona the other night. He's the reason the Canadiens beat the Arizona Coyotes the other night. 36 saves on 38 shots. I think it was one of his best performances of the year. In that game. Spencer Martin, right? It's not going to be Ronta, of course. Spencer Martin. Ronta, I think, is still unavailable. Yeah, if it's not Kochetkov, it'll be Spencer Martin. Ronta's still out. Thank you for that. Forgot about that. All right, Montreal, Florida. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's enough to take Montreal, though. What, Montembeault is just going to go back there and bagel the Florida Panthers? I'm not so sure. And while he was great against Arizona, let's not forget he kind of had some rough games before that. The loss to Buffalo, the loss to the Rangers where he gave up a 7 spot. In fact, he was on a 3-start losing streak before snapping it with that win against Arizona. And Arizona, he looks at this situation as, they can't get out of their own way right now. So that's why we can't get too excited about what Montembeault was able to do in that game against the Coyotes. Let's see him go to Florida here against the Eastern Conference champions and get it done. Florida's dominated this series, 6 straight victories. What's amazing about this series is since December of 2022, 6 straight Florida wins, all 6 of the victories by 3 goals or more. Not 2 goals or more, 3 goals or more. So if I'm looking at Florida tonight, I'm going to take my shot with a -2.5 alternative puck line on the Florida Panthers tonight. That would be the way I would go about it. Now, they've got Detroit on TV, national game TV, ABC on Saturday. I don't know if that's a huge big deal, though, as far as a look-ahead spot. They've just completely dominated Montreal. And at this point in time, I don't know if I trust Montreal against quality foes. They got pummeled by the Rangers 7-4. The last time they played a really, really good hockey team, I can't even count the Devils as a really good hockey team right now. The last time they played someone really good, like near Florida's caliber, was the Rangers, and they lost that game 7-4. So this would be Florida team total over and or take a shot with the alternative puck line on the Florida Panthers. Again, 6 straight victories over Montreal by 3 goals or more. So the margin of victory has been at least 3 goals in 6 straight for Florida here over Montreal. And the alternative team total in this game, or alternative puck line in this game, is -2.5 at around +150, +160 is what you can get with that. So I haven't locked in either. I don't know if I will, but I'm just throwing it out there. That's what I'd be looking at in this game. What do you think here, Alex? Montreal, Florida.
Yeah, it's another pass for me with the giant price here. Like I said, you could kind of play around with things. Maybe look if the people who like to add things to parlays, this would be kind of a parlay piece game. We always look at Sam Reinhart to get a goal for Florida. That's something that you can kind of look at. Maybe add some player props to tie different things in. But I probably won't have anything individually in this contest.
All right, Matt, how about you here? Canadiens, Panthers.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat, just given that it's such a heavy price, but something that I just found that I definitely love and I will be taking is Florida over 1.5 goals in the first period. I'm seeing it as high as +195. So I think for them to come out and score 2 goals in the first would not be anything surprising. Especially given that Montreal New York game going 7-4. So yeah, that'll be my only play pregame. I might look at Florida team total over 3.5, but even at that price, it's tough odds. And then I do like that Florida -2.5 look alternate puck line, so I might sprinkle on that as well.
Yeah, Florida first period puck line for Chris Otto. He says he likes that in the chat. You like that team total over 1.5 is a good value, certainly with the Panthers. Anytime you get a team total over 1.5 close to that 200 price, that's pretty good. Sam Bennett is someone I'd look at for Florida. He's starting to pick it up. We know Tkachuk has been better lately. And yes, Brandon Montour, there's no question. He's actually worth a goal prop look tonight. 3 goals in the last 5 games, 8 points in the last 5 games as well for Brandon Montour. So shooting the puck quite a bit. It is absolutely worth a look right now with what he's doing. Yeah, Mike Matheson against his old team. Yeah, Mike Matheson is a guy that he was piling up some points for a while there for the Montreal Canadiens. And you look at him, he's been starting to heat up again a little bit lately. Now, do we trust him to score? I don't know. He's only got 8 on the season, but certainly an assist prop, a goal prop. You could split both with Mike Matheson. You're right. He used to be a Panther. It's where he started his career, 5 seasons here from 2015 to 2019. So, yeah, definitely. I think that's worth a shot. I mean, for the old former player angle. And the one thing about Matheson is, while his offense is erratic, and especially goal scoring, he hasn't been able to produce a ton, 8 goals. He does play number 1 power play, so he will have the opportunity, no question. And it should be, by the way, for the Panthers, it's Anthony Stolarz who's going to get the start tonight, not Sergei Bobrovsky for them. But keep in mind with Stolarz, this has been a very nice run for him. He's been very good lately. 4-1, 7 goals on 144 shots, .951 save percentage in those 5 starts, 1.97 goals against, .925 save percentage. It's time to stop thinking of Anthony Stolarz as an inferior option. He's played very well for the Florida Panthers for most of the season. All right, next up, we've got the Arizona Coyotes, who the losing streak and the plight continues for them. They go to Toronto to take on the Leafs. It is Toronto -230, home favorites in this game, total 6.5 across the board. I'm actually tempted again somehow by Arizona, but I think I've had my fill after the Montreal game the other night. That's a spot where, they've stepped down in class. They just couldn't get the job done. These are spots where Toronto's had Toronto has not beaten Arizona in regulation at home in Toronto, I believe, in like 20 years. I saw that somewhere. It's crazy that they have had this kind of a problem at home against the Arizona Coyotes. And you just go back and look at recency between these two teams here in Toronto. Last year, 4-2 Arizona here in TO. The year before that, 5-4 Arizona in overtime here in TO. Before that, Toronto did win, but 3-2 in overtime. In the year before that, Arizona 4-2 in Toronto. So 3 of the last 4 visits to Toronto, Arizona's won, and the only Leaf win was in overtime. So they've clearly had their hands full with the Arizona Coyotes, just overall, but especially here at home. That being said, they did beat them handily last week in Arizona, and Arizona's in a really, really, really bad way. Yet Toronto, off the Vegas loss, they got to stop the bleeding. No one's going to accept them losing tonight to this Arizona team. regardless of the revenge factor, regardless of the fact that, Toronto struggled in the past with Arizona. This is a team that is ripe for the picking, struggling mightily, can't buy a win right now. Awful loss to Vegas, Toronto, the other night. This is where Toronto's got to step up and get the job done here. And the fact that they're going to go to Joe Woll in net tonight, Joseph Woll is in net. He's making his return. He has not started in a long time. He had a lengthy injury absence, but he got a rehab start in the AHL last Friday. He looked spectacular in it. 37 saves on 38 shots and a 4-1 win. He looked ready to go, ready to rock. Let's not forget he played well before the injury that he suffered, and the players are going to want to win this one for him in his return and everything he's gone through trying to get back from that injury. So, I'm not sold this is that same old, we're going to bet Arizona here in this spot for me, personally. I think I might sprinkle on the team total because I could see them getting a 3 here in this game. There is that factor and I like Woll. I don't care who's in net for Arizona, and it's going to be, it looks like, Connor Ingram tonight. But if you notice, Connor Ingram hasn't been the same guy since he returned from injury for the Arizona Coyotes. Now, a lot of that is the shit team in front of him. The defense has been abominable lately for the Arizona Coyotes. It's been awful. But at the same point in time, we can't totally absolve Connor Ingram of blame. He's given up 7 goals in 2 starts since he's been back. The team can't defend in front of him right now. So, when I look at this, you could argue Woll is the best goaltender in this matchup tonight against the Arizona Coyotes. So I'm going to sprinkle on the Coyotes team total a little bit. I don't know if I can do the draw. I know I did the Arizona draw split last year in Toronto. I don't know if I can. They're bad right now. They're finding ways to lose. Toronto's got to step up here. I will sprinkle on the team total over. What I will do, though, is the over trifecta as well in this game. My first of the card, over 1.5, over both teams to score first period, both of those, as well as over 6.5. And keep in mind, with Toronto, we've got these second period and third period over trends that have been very strong for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So while I'm on the first period, both teams and over 1.5. If it starts slow, we can jump in on the second period, third period overs here later in the game. And keep in mind, the drill by now. We do a little over 2 pre-period, both teams to score pre-period, and then we look for over 1.5 minus 120 or better during the period. That is the betting approach for me with betting these period totals moving forward, including with this game, should the opportunity arise. What do you think here in this one, Alex? Arizona, Toronto.
Yeah, and because I misquoted that yesterday when I was posting it on Twitter. But yeah, like you said, it's getting that flat 2, which that's available at Bet365, correct? But that is during the game.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So so if you have books that, and I don't know what other books I have to shop around.
Bet365, you won't see second and third period totals until just before the intermission of the in the previous period. Yeah.
Right. And you can find them at flat numbers. So that's the thing. Trying to find flat totals in any market is kind of hard. So if you have Bet365, you have that option. But obviously, you can also look at the FanDuel and some other books that have both teams to score in the second period pregame and grab some of that as well too when you're trying to kind of shape up and get the best of value looking at these second period overs. So I just wanted to mention that because I did tweet that out yesterday. But as far as this game goes, and I will be having a lot of live looks, even first period and full game overs will be things I'll look at in game to try to get lower prices. The only thing that I like pregame is, like you said, Arizona team total over 2.5. The way I look at this is that either Arizona wins again and they score 3 goals, 4 goals, or it looks like it did last week at Mullet Arena where Toronto wins the game handily, but they still give up 3 goals. And like I said, with Joseph Woll coming back, and yes, okay, he looked good in the AHL, got his conditioning stints in, but we could still see him give up 3 goals and Toronto, win this game handily. That's not a far-fetched ask. So laying just $1.15 for 2.5 with Arizona, that's the only pregame look I like. Everything else I'll be doing in-game.
Right, good stuff indeed, no doubt. What do you think, Matt? Arizona, Toronto.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm not going to do the over trifecta, but just do the first period over and game over. I'm totally cool if you want to wait and do it live to get a little better odds because you are having to lay like minus 160 on that first period over. But on the off chance that there's 2 quick goals in the first 5 minutes, then, you can't really get in on the game. So I'm probably just going to lay the juice and take the first period and game over here. I think both teams will give up a few goals, so I think it'll be, a 5-3 type of game. I lean Toronto, but not at that price point. So yeah, it'll just be first period and game over for me.
So wait, you like both teams to score in that spot as well in the first period?
I don't hate that play. Just on the off chance they play similarly to how they played in Phoenix and Toronto's up 2 or 3-0, then you lose on that bet. So I might just lay the juice and just take the -1.5.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't hate that both teams just score, because I do think Arizona is fully capable of scoring in that first period. So
no, I just brought it up strictly because you were saying about in reference to with laying the juice at 160. Would you be having some of that in pocket so that way you can shape it where you don't have to just go pot committed to just laying 160? You can kind of divide it up a little bit and maybe even give yourself some wiggle room if you find a better pricing game. That was my suggestion to that.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I may do a little split, and then again, obviously look live. There's no goals in the first 5 minutes, then there's going to be really good odds, and I still think it can hit at that point. So, good point.
There's no pregame ceremony. You're talking about like they'll do a tribute probably for Kerfoot.
Yeah, that was a joke.
Yeah, that's a joke. Yeah, they might. You never know with this fucking team. They gave one to Pierre Engvall, for Christ's sake. I mean, I couldn't believe that. From the New York Islanders, but that was just ridiculous. That's totally absurd. Giving one to Pierre Engvall. Come on, my goodness. There's a lot of props I like. McMahon. I'm going back to Bertuzzi, but look, Bertuzzi's plus 250. What did I say the other night when we cashed the bargain bin on Bertuzzi? This will be the last. If he scores again, this will be probably the last time we get him above plus 300 for bargain bin material. And sure enough, look at Bertuzzi's plus 250. But I still like it. I mean, he's on a roll right now. McMahon. I would look at Kerfoot for Arizona against coming back to Toronto, of course. I think when you look at it, also. When you look at the Arizona side of things, I like Dursey. Someone mentioned Dursey. Dursey's a Toronto kid. He doesn't score a ton, but I think he could be shooting the puck a little bit more. Certainly maybe get an assist as well. But Dursey, I don't mind the looks. Dylan Guenther, I think now getting more opportunity. First power play. Zucker. Those would be some other looks for Arizona. I would focus mostly for me on Tyler Bertuzzi, Domi maybe as well, because Domi, I think, has had some chances for them. So keep an eye on that as well in this one. All right, next up, we've got Winnipeg and Dallas. Many of us were kind of hoping we'd see Chris Tanev make his debut tonight for the Dallas Stars, but that's not going to happen. He won't make his debut probably until next Tuesday. They're even doubtful he'll be ready to go for Saturday when they play San Jose. So we'll see how that turns out, how that shapes out. But no Tanev yet. Visa issues will delay his arrival. We've got Dallas minus 135, home favorite, 6 the total. The one thing that's been very, very clear about the Winnipeg Jets, when they played in Dallas this year and last year, they play hard there. They play really good there. Then they play Dallas tough there. And I wonder if the Rick Bowness factor has something to do with that. Knowing Rick Bowness was there in Dallas as the head coach, knowing he got let go, and there's that kind of, extra, sympathetic vibe to let's get going here and let's get this done for Bones here tonight back in Dallas. But it's not just that as to why I'm leaning Winnipeg in this game. This schedule for Dallas, it's caught up to them. They had 0 legs by the third period against Colorado the other night, and they're coming back again traveling. I've said this before on the show. It's ridiculous the travel that they've had to do since February 10th, nearly 3 weeks ago, at Montreal, home for 1 game, at Nashville, home for 1 game, back on the road for 4 straight on the road, back home for 1 game against the Islanders, back on the road back-to-back in Denver the other night, and now back home again. This is travel from every game to the next game for over 10 games in a row now. That is going to eat away at you physically, and it's going to leave you devoid of energy. It's going to leave you devoid of that extra skating stride that you need to win puck battles in an NHL game. And that's what we're seeing right now from the Dallas Stars. To me, they're a vulnerable favorite. What Dallas needs right now is a couple of games in a row at home. And unfortunately, they're only going to get 2 games in a row at home because they're going to have San Jose on Saturday, and then they're going to go on the road against San Jose on Tuesday in a home and home. So even then, the schedule makers gave them 2 measly little home games before they have to travel again. So this is just the schedule. Sometimes in the course of a long season, guys, the schedule just chews you up and spits you out. Okay, and right now that's what it's doing to the Dallas Stars. I could only look at Winnipeg here tonight, especially when you're talking about them with their defensive-minded play and structure and the way they've played in Dallas and Hellebuck in net, getting him at a dog price is always interesting to me. So probably we'll sprinkle on Winnipeg, but what I like even more is the draw in this game. I think there's definitely overtime potential. Dallas has been just a overtime machine, especially on home ice. Last 2 games at home have gone to overtime against the Oilers and the Islanders. You look at this series history between these teams last year in Dallas, November 25th, Winnipeg wins 5-4 in overtime. We've seen 6 of the last 10 meetings go past regulation. Winnipeg's gone past regulation in 2 of their last 3 games overall. So Jets, a little bit on the draw too for me in this one. Alex, Winnipeg, Dallas.
Yes, I like the over trifecta in this, and I'm going to be, I guess I could say 2 out of 3 I have already in pocket. First period over 1.5 minus $1.12, and first period both teams to score plus 192, both available at FanDuel. But over 5.5 is available there at minus $1.30. I have a small piece of that. I would like to try and grab that at either $1.10 or plus money in game. So that's the way I'm looking at that. So if you can find a 6. If your book has a 6, I say go ahead and grab over 6 now. Play the full over trifecta. But with that 5.5, I'm gonna maybe be a tad bit greedy and try to get some plus money out of that. But I like the first period over and both teams to score in that, and I also like the draw here as well. Obviously, a strong series history. Now, keep in mind that 6 out of 10, 5 of those were in a row going back a few years ago. 4, we've seen only 1 of the last 5 meetings go. But like I said, Dallas is one of the best teams, especially at home, going past 60 minutes, and I definitely could see this one being tight enough. I think we get goals, so 3-3 correct score, something I'll have in pocket small as well in this contest, and considering I like over 6 along with the draw and first period over, first period both teams to score.
And second period over. Don't you guys forget about it. We will be all over that, of course.
Yeah.
See, I don't love overs as much as you in this game, but absolutely the second period over. 100% I'll be on that here. No, 18 straight, guys. As you know, you've got to look at it. And what I'll be doing, and I'll mention it again, is a pre-period bet, probably on over 2 at a small price. Both teams to score second period, and then we'll get over 1.5 at minus 120 or better during the second period if that price comes about. That's the approach I take now with these period totals, how to bet it, because you just can't lay over 1.5 in the period before the period starts, unless you want to lay minus 200 or something like that. And I don't think many of you want to do that. What do you think here, Matt? Winnipeg, Dallas.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit pre-show, sorry, about the Tanev situation. Obviously would have loved for him to play, but I do think it gives Dallas a little boost to know that he's on his way. And, if you're one of the defensemen in the bottom 2 pairs, it may motivate you to play well to try and stay in the lineup when he does get there. So, I'm weary on the overs here. I am going to be on the first period over, and I did get in on the over 5.5 last night. I always generally take the 5.5s, but Hellebuck does worry me. He is a great goalie. You look for Andre to have a bounce back game after that Colorado game. He knows he didn't play well. I'm not saying it was all his fault, but to give up 5 on I think like 24 shots is not what he's hoping to do. So and again, the chat will be like, oh, he's biased. I'm not saying I love Dallas in this spot, but I do think that this is going to be a really exciting game. I'm not going to be on either side. I do have a best bet on this game that I'll bring up later in the show. It's a little interesting best bet for me from what I typically would take. So I'll save that for later. But yeah, overall, just really excited for this game. I think both teams will be playing kind of playoff style hockey. I do think there will be some goals, but I just think both teams, will want to win, obviously. But I do think the draw is a good play here because, like we've mentioned before, if it is tied, with 10 minutes left, both teams want at least a point. So they may, play more defensive, play more trap, dump pucks in, and then, get that overtime point and then, try and win the game from there. So I do like the draw here, but overall just really excited to watch the game. And obviously excited for Tanev to eventually be in a Dallas Stars jersey, but it looks like it's going to be on next Tuesday in San Jose. So.
All right. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be one of the San Jose games indeed. And we got the goalie matchup we all want to see. in this game. Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger could be teammates for Team USA in international competition down the road, quite honestly, these two guys. So going head-to-head here tonight in this game for me, excuse me, for me with props, looks like we've got a switch up here from DeBoer. I see Robertson, Hintz, Pavelski. I see Marchment, Duchesne, and Steele. I see Ben Johnston and Craig Smith. And I see Delandria Foxa right now. I don't see Stankoven. What's going on here? Is that it? Did they send him back down? Did I miss that? But I don't see him on the line combos here for Dallas tonight because I'm looking at Stankoven. We're trying to ride this young kid right now the way he's been going, but don't see him right now. But if he is playing, if we find out this is just an error and he's playing tonight for Dallas, then I'd still be looking at Stankoven in some fashion here for Dallas. I think for the Winnipeg Jets, the ones you really want to focus in on right now, Monahan, Ehlers is starting to heat up. Velarde, it goes without saying what he's capable of. So those would be some of the There we go. We're back. Sorry. Monahan, Ehlers, they'd be what I'd be looking at for Winnipeg, Monahan, Ehlers, and certainly Gabe Velarde. Certainly the players would be most interested in as far as props go on the Winnipeg side of things. All right, Minnesota and Nashville next up. Nashville minus 115 home favorites. The total 6 here in this game tonight. These are two surging hockey teams right now, and I still put Minnesota in the category of playing pretty well, even after the loss to Carolina the other night. Where they got Kochetkov. He was very good in the third period. Carolina ends up getting the 3-2 win in that game. They fare in this game, but this is a huge game. These are two teams that are right on that outer edge of the wild card race in the Western Conference. Huge points on the line. The draw to me is the obvious bet here. I really do think we're going to see a good chance for overtime here with these two teams. I honestly lean Minnesota a little bit. Nashville, the only thing that concerns me is Nashville's look, even in what was supposed to be a bad spot, Nashville ended up overcoming it, but Ottawa was pretty wretched, the other night in that game against the Predators. So I don't want to give Nashville too much credit, but I still must say, to come off the road in a tricky spot like that, which is usually bad news, that can be something that just to see them win that game and win it comfortably 4-1, you still got to give Nashville a whole hell of a lot of credit for that. No question about it. So for me, I've got to lean to Minnesota, but I think I'm only going to stick to the draw here. Alex, what do you think? A very important big-time matchup here as far big points here on the line, on the table for these two teams, Wild Predators.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a game where I like to draw here, but I'll be looking at some things live. I could see this obviously being a local game with the Wild. I'll be watching this one closely. I'll probably be having a lot of next to score props. So this is one where you definitely follow me on Twitter at AX Smith Sports. I'll be tweeting these out if I like them. So this is a live game for me that I had kind of circled, but I like the draw here. I grabbed plus 340 this morning. And like I said, two teams that need the points desperately, two rivals. They always have some really good battles back and forth. So just kind of adjust things live and just hope for the draw. Definitely should be a fun one tonight.
No doubt. Couple of better starts for Gustafsson. Step in the right direction. He had really been scuffling a little bit for a period of time there. But the Edmonton game, even in the loss against Carolina, I don't think he played that bad for the Wild in net. What do you think here, Matt? Minnesota, Nashville.
Yeah, this is one. I may end up passing on this pregame. I do think there will be some live bets as well. But maybe a first period over here. I think both teams want to come out strong. So, maybe there's 2 goals in the first. But two teams that are obviously battling for playoff spots. I do think the draw is a nice play, just similar to Dallas, Winnipeg. If it is tied late, both teams want to at least secure that 1 point. So definitely like that. But maybe first period over here, but don't really love anything pregame.
Even say I love the props here in this game all that much. I know I'm tempted to go to Nyquist again, the Gus bus, because he had been quiet, but he's starting to heat up again. I think you got to go to the Gus bus, quite honestly. He is heating up. 6 points, goals in 3 straight games for the Nashville Predators. Yeah, I think it's time to get. He's a streaky player. Remember the streak he was on earlier this year? We talked about Gustav Nyquist props pretty much every game for the Nashville Predators when he was surging offensively earlier in the season, and he's starting to get back to that right now for the Predators in recent games. And again, plus 270 for a goal, plus 144 for an assist. And keep in mind, too, with Nyquist here, recent games, like I said, starting to pick it up. Forsberg, too, but obviously you don't get great prices with him. To me, Nyquist is the one for sure. And by the way, 2 and 3 points in 2 of the last 3 games. You could go plus 500 is out there on Nyquist over 1.5 points. Just saying that is a quite a strong price there at plus 500 for someone that's had a multi-point game now in 2 of the last 3 for the Predators. All right, as we continue along here on this big Thursday slate, next up here on this Thursday, we've got the here we go. Yeah, Colorado, Chicago. This is actually national television tonight on ESPN tonight. A Thursday night national TV game for them with the Avs and the Blackhawks. Colorado, minus 270 road favorites. The total 6 across the board in this one. This is the closest reincarnation to Gary Thorne on the mic that ESPN has calling the game tonight. Bob Wischusen for this Colorado-Chicago game. When you look at this matchup tonight, I'm going to definitely go with the first period over. There's no question when it comes to Colorado-Chicago. Colorado's on this over first period type of train again, big time in recent games. I think now the run is 9-2 to the first period over for Colorado in their last 11 games. And that's been the trend lately for Colorado. They score, and their opponent often can get on the board. I don't know about their opponent getting on the board tonight, but the opponent getting on the board is more possible now with Justus Annunen confirmed in net for the Colorado Avalanche. So maybe this is both teams to score. And the one thing about this game, because Colorado is such a huge road favorite, you're going to get both teams to score first period in this game at a hell of a good price. Sounds like that dip that I always get. Hell of a good. But yeah, I mean, this price is certainly up plus 180 is what we're looking at here for both teams to score between the Avs and the Blackhawks. And say what you will about Chicago. We've talked about this pretty much all season, this theme. Chicago at home plays tough, plays hard. They don't shortchange the fans from effort as far as the home games are concerned. And it wouldn't surprise me to see them, give Colorado a solid battle. I don't know about win the game. We know Colorado's been a little iffy on the road at times. But in this spot here tonight, Chicago might be able to dent the twine a little bit, knowing that it's Annunen in net. Now, Annunen did have a better start when we saw him last against Detroit. He gave up 2 goals. They lost in overtime. But he certainly played better than he did before that. But I got to see. Let's see the guy have 2 good games before we're ready to say he's taken a step forward as far as progress is concerned. So I lean full game over too, but this is one where I like the goals earlier in the game for sure. Over 1.5 first period, both teams to score first period. Alex, Colorado, Chicago.
Yeah, I'm right there in that first period over. Don't like both teams to score as much, even though last 2 meetings at the United Center, we have seen both teams score. But that's probably the only thing that I have here. I can't make a case even for an Avalanche team total. Maybe a Hawks team total live. If we see Annunen look like shit, then maybe we could try and grab, he gives up a goal early. We try to grab a 2.5. And maybe the Hawks stand a chance in this one. But obviously Colorado is a much stronger team overall, even with Annunen and net in this game. Could get out of hand. Like I said, if we see a little bit of a hangover in a contest between either Chicago or Detroit in their game tonight, I would expect it more to be Chicago, especially from the crowd, right? If you were at that game on Sunday, then he's not going to have the same atmosphere.
Oh, electric atmosphere. Yeah.
Especially with a later start, too. This is an 8 o'clock local time. Usually it's 7 or 7:30. So that also makes kind of a difference, too. I just don't see where the same energy is going to be able to be matched by the faithful at the United Center tonight. And I think that kind of maybe could translate onto the ice a little bit, too. So first period over is the only thing I like here, and I might look for some things in game.
Absolutely. 2 props I really like for Colorado. We're back. We're back on our Turi Lehkonen again. He's on fire. He's playing with McKinnon and Rantanen on the first line for Colorado. He's been great, scoring, assisting, getting points. I think he could sprinkle on goal, assist. Could even maybe take a shot at over 1.5 points for Artturi Lehkonen tonight. And now that it's 2 games in a row, he scored for the Colorado Avalanche from the 4th line. I'm going to go again with Andrew Cogliano. Why not? I mean, it's now 2 games in a row he scored against Toronto and Dallas for this Colorado team. You're getting these mammoth prices. What was it, plus 900 the other night when I cashed with him against Dallas to score a goal? So now it's 2 in a row that he scored. Plus 850 is still out there. PointsBet, FanDuel, plus 800. Why not? Put a couple bucks on it. He's on a heater for Andrew Cogliano standards. 2 games in a row with a goal for the Avs. What do you think here, Matt? Colorado, Chicago.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with both you guys. I'm definitely on the first period over. I don't necessarily like both teams to score. I think it could be a Colorado 2-0 first period, maybe worse. If Chicago does score, then I feel really confident in that first period over because I don't think Colorado will be shut out in the first period. But yeah, don't really like anything else. Obviously big prices on both ends. I would obviously lean towards Colorado, but not going to lay minus 270. An interesting prop that I may throw literally like $1 or $2 on is Seth Jones, Caleb Jones, both to score. They're brothers. Obviously, they played together in Chicago. Obviously, Caleb Jones didn't get re-signed. I'm seeing their goal prop is like plus 700. So if you combine the two, throw a buck on it, on the off chance it hits, it would be pretty wild. So just something for fun. But as far as actual
flaw
bets,
with your thinking there, Caleb Jones may not even play for Colorado. I've got him not even in the top 6 right now on D.
Yeah, he's coming up on Bovada as a goal scorer, but you're right. There's a good chance that he may not even be in the lineup. So maybe wait until I think that game's at 9:00 Eastern time. Maybe wait till like 8:30, and if it says he's going to play, might be something worth doing. But yeah, first period over is really the only thing I like pregame in this one.
Yeah, and So yeah, I've got Caleb Jones and Curtis McDermott, the extra defenseman for call. Yeah, because everyone's healthy on the blue line. It looks like right now. Yeah, Cale Makar, Devon Taves, Sam Girard, Josh Manson, Jack Johnson, Bowen Byram. So yeah, it looks like everyone's healthy on the blue line. So it's a good theory, but we may not get to put it in practice if Caleb Jones is a no-go here tonight for the Colorado Avalanche in this game. All right, Pittsburgh and Seattle. We've got the Seattle Kraken minus 115, home favorites, 6 the total. I believe in momentum, and Seattle's kind of had a tough schedule, and they've kind of been up and down, but that was a galvanizing win for them, I thought, against Boston, because they were down, they came back, they were down again, they came back again, and they ended up winning that game for the Boston over the Boston Bruins in a shootout. It was a very important 2 points for them. They need these 2 points desperately. So does Pittsburgh. Both of them are not only out of a playoff spot, but they're like a good 4 or 5 points out. So both of these teams definitely need points. It's an important game in the schedule here in this game. But yeah, I don't trust Pittsburgh off a really good win yet. I know that was a much better win for them against Vancouver compared to beating Philly when Cal Peterson was absolute shite. And by the way, shocker of the day in the NHL news-wise, Cal Peterson cleared waivers. I can't believe that happened. My goodness. I thought guys that give up 6 goals and shit the bed is just exactly what teams are looking for right now. So yeah, not a shock at all. Cal Peterson cleared waivers for the Philadelphia Flyers. I can't believe how bad he was in that game on Sunday. But Pittsburgh benefited from that. They beat Montreal before that. And that was a good comeback against Vancouver. I was very impressed. But I'm pumping the brakes here with Pittsburgh. I would only look Seattle here, minus 115 at home, short price. Penguins now coming off the high of that comeback win against the Canucks. I think Seattle now multiple home games in a row, build a little momentum going into this game. Grubauer's on fire. He's the better of the 2 goaltenders, in my opinion, right now. With all due respect, Tristan Jarry on his best night can be capable, but Philip Grubauer's play since returning has been excellent. Absolutely excellent. He's given up just 7 goals in his last 4 starts since coming back. He's been absolutely terrific, allowing just 6 goals on his last 80 shots, 3-0 with a sub 2 goals against average, and a .940 save percentage in his last 3 starts as well, Philip Grubauer. So give me the Kraken here. Crackheads for me, minus 115. Alex, what do you think here? Pittsburgh, Seattle.
Yeah, it makes total sense. But this game just shapes up to be one of the draw season candidates of the night. 2 teams, cross conference, needing points desperately, both kind of staying out of each other's way, both kind of having some up and downs at recent times. But I feel like this would be a good game, a close game, and I'm all over this draw. I got it plus 350 this morning. That's the only thing I like here in this contest.
All right, liking the draw. I would lean that way too. This is definitely one where I could see the draw coming through here. Penguins and Kraken. Keep in mind, both teams, their last game was a draw hit. Boston, Seattle, and of course Pittsburgh in their overtime win against Vancouver, which also ended up cashing the draw. So, like I said, I prefer Seattle to the draw, but I might get in on the draw for something small. What do you think here, Matt? Pittsburgh, Seattle.
Yeah, I'm definitely on Seattle on this one. I just can't trust Pittsburgh, and Seattle being at home, I give them a little bit of an edge. I do think is a good draw candidate. I didn't have it written down pre-show, but I definitely will be taking the draw here. It's the same thought process as Alex mentioned. Neither team cares if the other team gets a point. They're different conferences, but they both desperately need points. So 10 minutes left. They may mutually agree to let's get this to overtime, and then we'll play it out from there. So I'll be on the draw and definitely on Kraken money line in this one. I kind of lean towards the first period over, but I also could see it being kind of a slow start. So we'll see it closer to pregame if I'm going to take that, but definitely the other two. But yeah.
Yeah, as far as props, there's actually a few I like in this game. I don't know if it's going to be up or low scoring or high scoring, but I'll say this. I do like the way Grubauer's playing right now. And so I think it's one of those totals that could go either way. But Riley Smith and Rickard Rakell. Rakell's been on fire. Not so much Riley Smith, but I'm going to keep betting Riley Smith as long as he's playing with Sidney Crosby on that top line. And meanwhile, Rakell's doing all the production right now with Crosby on that top line. He's been very good. So I would certainly look in that direction. Maybe it sprinkles on Emil Bemstrom, the guy that they just acquired from Columbus, and Lars Eller, who scored the other night for Pittsburgh. There might be some value there. And for Seattle, McCann, yes. Eberle, yes. Bjorkstrand, yes. He's starting to heat up for them. Andre Burakovsky doesn't look like he was going to play. He's been struggling, but he's been very noticeable. He's had a million chances. So if Burakovsky was in the lineup for Seattle, I might have looked at his props, but it doesn't look like he's going to be in. And yes, Vince Dunn, 100% with Vince Dunn. He is heating up on the blue line right now. His offense has been noticeable. What is it? 4 points, 3 straight games with a goal, point in 4 straight games for Vince Dunn. So yeah, the Vince Dunn Express. He gets it done, and he's getting it done right now for the Seattle Kraken. No question about that. So good prop there as well. All right, LA, Vancouver. Vancouver minus 140, home favorites, 6 being the total here in this one. All right, Vancouver frustrated the hell out of me the other night. You're up 2-0 in the first. When you're on a team total 3.5 and you end up losing in overtime 4-3 to a Pittsburgh team where really all that and not that enamored with, I should say, and about their ability to be consistent night to night. But LA, are they fading? I mean, they've had a tough week. They've lost both games on the road trip in Alberta, losing to the Oilers and the Flames. Can they bounce back? It feels like this is a circle the wagon spot for the Kings, that they'll probably bring a good effort here. And Vancouver's a little vulnerable right now. And you're looking at them just 1-5 in their last 6 games. This is the first official, skid, malaise, slump of the season, if you will, for Vancouver. I'm not rushing to lay $140 with Vancouver either. They've gone to overtime in 2 straight. It'd be draw or pass for me. And even prop-wise, there's not a ton I like here, other than probably I would say Besser's heating up for Vancouver, and you got to keep riding Kevin Fiala right now for Los Angeles, who continues to be, I think, one of their best offensive players right now. So maybe those props, maybe the draw. Nothing strong, though, for me in this game. Alex, what do you think? Kings, Canucks.
Yeah, I didn't even grab the draw here because I could see where if Vancouver can get their shit together, they could win this game in regulation. But like I said, these are two teams that are just kind of in iffy spots right now. At plus 370, it's worth having maybe a little bit of draw in pocket. But this is a game I don't like at all. I just wanted to watch, wait, maybe see something pop up live.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I felt the same way. It's just I don't want to lay it with Vancouver right now. Let's let them go through their little slump right now that they're in. But I don't trust LA enough either at the moment. I know they had a little bump with Jim Hiller initially. Other than the Buffalo game, they had won every other game until these last 2. Now they've lost in Alberta both games. So we'll see how this one plays out. What do you think here in this one, Matt? LA, Vancouver.
Yeah, don't really like anything pregame. I lean towards the first period over because I think both teams would love to get a goal going quickly. But I don't know that I can trust it with Vancouver being kind of up and down right now. LA is playing better, but they are on the road up in Vancouver. So Probably a pass game for me. And then, as Alex mentioned, I might be watching it live and see if there's something, worth taking live. But pregame, nothing here for me.
Nothing here for Matt in this one either. Kings and Canucks. All right, final game now of this Thursday slate. It is not the most. It seems like we end these great, huge cards with not the most glamorous game, and we've done that again here with the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks. Anaheim minus 135 road favorites. The total in this one sitting at 6, shaded to the over. The hell do you do with this, huh? How do you lay $135 with Anaheim? And I'm done with San Jose after that. What they did for me the other night against New Jersey, just completely shit in the bed hard the moment Blackwood got injured in that game, and it totally crumbled after a great first period from San Jose against New Jersey, and completely, utterly collapsed the rest of the game against New Jersey the other night with Kakkonen in net, who was Kaka. If he's anything like he was the last game, I mean, Anaheim should probably win this game. You know what I'll probably look at here is probably a small over trifecta. I can't help myself here. How do the goals not flood in with these two teams right now? You really can't trust either one consistently to keep the puck out of their own net. We've seen them both have problems. San Jose is going to have problems now. I think now that they have got to rely on Kakkonen night in and night out. They've given up 4 goals or more in each of their last 4 games. You know, Anaheim's not a trustworthy defensive outfit. We've seen them give up 14 goals in the last 3 games. The games in San Jose between these two teams, let's go back to April of 2022. Last 4 meetings in San Jose, scores of 5-2, 6-5, 5-4, and 5-3. What's the common denominator? All of them going up and over the total. So I really like over 6 here in this game. Might lean to a first period over, both teams to score as well. But and in a small over trifecta. But personally, I like a little more on the full game over. 4 straight full game overs head-to-head in San Jose in the tank between the Ducks and the Sharks. Alex, just a hell of a hockey game to wrap things up here. Anaheim, San Jose.
Yeah, well, I'm not watching a second of this. I won't be betting this game. I will be probably getting a DM or a text saying, "You like anything in this contest?" So I would recommend over 6, but I'm not touching this. Pass.
Yeah, I can't trust either of these freaking sides. I actually think it would lean Anaheim. I think Anaheim's still a little bit better than San Jose can win this game. Minus 135 on the road, though, no fucking thanks. And San Jose, not a chance. So just give me goals. Just give me goals, and I'll be happy. What do you think here, Maddie? Anaheim, San Jose.
Same boat. First period over, game over is all I'll be taking in this one. I expect it to be more or less pond hockey. I don't expect a lot of hitting. I don't expect a lot of guys blocking shots. What's the point at this point in the season? And again, I've mentioned it before. When 2 really bad teams play, guys that are on those top 2 lines are thinking about goal incentives and bonuses that they can hit. These are the nights to get points. So I love a lot of points in this game. Those will be the only 2 plays I'm on. I do have a men's league game tonight at 10:45 p.m. So I might even be watching this game just because I'll be trying to stay awake for that game. So, but yeah, not an exciting game, typical end of night game. So it is what it is.
And that's 10 p.m. Nevada time, local time for you, right? So that'll be like after all the games pretty much end that you'll be on the ice with your men's league team there later on. So I think remember all those sports wrap up in the Pacific time zone around 10 o'clock, 10:30. So that'll be after that Matt's team. You know what? Watching Matt's team will be more fucking exciting probably than watching this game, quite honestly, with the Ducks and the Sharks here tonight in this one. But there could be a lot of goals. I think there may be a lot of goals, so maybe it will be a little entertaining from that standpoint. But you're right. Playing for exercise. Neither team's close to the playoffs. Who wants to block a shot? That is a theory I've said many a time for sure. All right, great stuff. That is the Thursday card. Shout out to everyone tuned in. 260 live viewers. We appreciate it so much. Hit the like button. And a reminder, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. And again, goalie charts, totals charts, power ratings, and more there every day. And sides totals and player props from Alex and me and our guests every day posted on the page. And, of course, more Patreon-exclusive live betcasts coming up in March and beyond. So make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/iceguys. Your $10 per month subscription goes a long way to keeping the show rolling for the long term. patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Sign up for that. And of course, make sure you get your gear and your merch at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, today is the last day where you can save 20% off. Just go to iceguys.myspreadshop.com, click on the redeem button at the top of the page, add everything to your cart, and you'll get 20% taken off of your order at checkout. That is at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
We've got some Matt Robinson sympathizers in the chat. B. Rocco, I had a beer league game at 11 last night. Brutal. Alan Trimble, the dreaded 11 p.m. local time beer league game. So there you go. He's going to be feeling it, stumbling around, heading home maybe after that game from getting off the ice for that one late tonight for our guy Matt. But good stuff. And also a reminder, too, there's some news. As you know, I don't know if everyone knows this, but lately we've had our shows 3 days a week. We loan the Ice Guys show out to the Fired Up Network with Joe P. Runs that, and we've been doing that for a while. Well, they're launching True TV Plus next week in the U.S., and we're going to have our show sent to them. They'll put it up there. All the shows that are on that platform are at random times. They just run one after another, no set times. But if you have True TV Plus in the U.S., you're going to see our faces. And you're going to see the Ice Guys show on there 7 days a week. So that's pretty cool. And like I say, hopefully the America's ready for us there. True TV Plus, they're starting next week.
Yeah, curious to know how the editing process is going to work out. But that's wonderful. Shout out to Joe P. and the Fired Up Network and True TV Plus for adding us onto the rotation. And I said, hope you guys catch us there. Yet another avenue to find the Ice Guys.
Yep. Absolutely. That's what we're looking for. We're trying to get this show out there in a million different ways as much as humanly possible. No question about it. All right. So with that in mind, we'll be back in a moment with Bargain Bin Special of the Night and Best Bets to wrap up the show right after we hear from our daily sponsors here on the Ice Guys, our friends at Boston Hemp. All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out, and you can get 20% off all orders on the website with the promo code IceGuys over at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for not best bets yet, Bargain Bin Special of the Night. I'd have my head cut off by some of our viewers if I skipped the Bargain Bin Special of the Night, I'm sure. We can't do that to everybody. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like in the Bargain Bin tonight?
Yeah, so I'm taking a shot. Going out to the west side of Chicago, you got Colorado taking on the Hawks. And there's a guy for the Avalanche who has done a whole lot of nothing the last few games. But I think this is a good spot against a bad team for him to get things back on track. And looking at Logan O'Connor, still on the second line, hasn't been taking a whole lot of shots. In fact, went shotless and scoreless in that last game against Dallas. He has scored 2 goals against the Hawks previously and played 11 games against Chicago. I can see where maybe he gets his rhythm going. Like I said, this is the kind of time where you see players who need to get into a groove on a good team. They do well usually against those bottom tier opponents in the last kind of 20 games or so. They find their openings. So, and it's funny, there was an old ad back in the day in Chicago that says, if anyone can, O'Connor can. So we're going to roll with Logan O'Connor, get a goal tonight. We can get that as high as, where's my list of everything that's gone? Get that as high as plus 350. Is what I'm seeing. So anywhere around in the plus 300 range, several sites have him over plus 300, well within the bargain bin range. Logan O'Connor, anytime goal for Colorado tonight against Chicago.
All right, there we go. And that's someone I've cashed with before in the past. Not recently, but earlier in the season, I've been on Logan O'Connor a couple of times. Alex going to that well tonight. Logan O'Connor, Colorado Avalanche for his bargain bin special of the night. Matt, I was all bargain bin special of the night. What do you got?
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone's expecting me to go to Dallas. I'm actually going to keep it out west. I do love a Thomas Harley goal tonight again. I think he's due. But as far as bargain bins go, I'm going to take it. Let's see, games in Vancouver. He's playing on the first line with Kopitar and Byfield. I'm going to take Alex Turcotte anytime goal. I'm seeing it as high as plus 600, plus 650. A player playing on the top line with those two, why not? So Alex Turcotte, anytime goal scorer for the LA Kings.
All right. Interesting. I like it there. Mr. Turcotte here for the LA Kings. The Alex Turcotte, which you can find as high as plus, holy shit, 850 at PointsBet for Alex Turcotte to find the back of the net tonight for the LA Kings. My bargain bin special of the night. There are some teams, it's just uncanny how many times a player that used to play for that team comes back and scores against them. And one team that it seems like every former player comes back there to Toronto and scores against them. It happens against the Leafs. So with that in mind, I'm taking Alex Kerfoot for the Arizona Coyotes tonight, a former Leaf who's actually not been in bad form offensively the last month or so. Defensively, Arizona's been a wreck, but they've not always been as bad offensively during this losing streak. And Alex Kerfoot's been a part of the offense. Plus 430 at FanDuel for Alex Kerfoot tonight against his former team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, you're seeing fucking Pierre Engvall earlier just recently for the Islanders come back to Toronto and score against the Leafs. So this is insane how much this happens. So I'm rolling with it. And the price is great. Alex Kerfoot, Arizona Coyotes, plus 430. For my bargain bin special of the night. All right, it is time for best bets to wrap it up for this Thursday show. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, we're going Buffalo, Tampa Bay. First period over 1.5. You can get minus $1.28 at FanDuel. 9 first period overs in a row. Head-to-head meetings, 16-4 the last 20 meetings. I do expect goals back and forth here early in this contest. So give me Sabres and Bolts. First period over 1.5. That is my Thursday best bet.
All right, there it is. Buffalo and Tampa Bay, first period over. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Matt, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, so I am going to take this one to Big D. This is a player prop for a best bet, which is unusual for me. I don't think I've ever done that. He's about a point-a-game player against Winnipeg. He always tends to play well against Western Canada, and he's been playing on the line with Wyatt Johnston and Logan Stankoven. So I'm going to take Ben anytime point tonight. It's plus 110 on Bovada. You can probably get a little better price, but I think that line's been rolling. Wyatt Johnston, anytime goal prop's always a great prop. And if he scores, there's a good chance Ben has got a point. He's also on their first power play. So give me Jamie Benn, anytime point scorer tonight against the Winnipeg Jets.
There you go. I like it. Not many of us use player props as a best bet, but that's clearly something you can do on the show, and I like it. Jamie Benn to get a point, plus 110 for the Dallas Stars for Matt Robinson and his best bet. My best bet for this Thursday card, I can't determine whether, you know what? Let's do it. Let's make a draw a best bet. It's hit 6 times in a row for crying out loud. Why not 7? I hope I don't put the kibosh on it, making it a best bet, but we're going to do it. Let's go Vegas-Boston draw. That's right. A rare draw bet. And I know the haters out there that hate that we're on the draws like we are on the show daily are going to love hearing this, but tough shit.
Fuck them.
Vegas-Boston draw, plus 350 at FanDuel for my best bet. Hey, 6 straight Boston games have gone to overtime. I think it makes sense. It's a great price. Let's take a shot here. Vegas-Boston draw, plus 350. For my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we are back tomorrow for a Beantown Friday edition of the Ice Guys.